Recording. Click start working. All right. So we're gonna do this again, similar to what we did yesterday. We're gonna make sure that we write down our notes as we do this because I want you to remember those words that I say because I'm just telling you right now. I say them all the time. So let's click on a new part. So click part. Click new part. And remember, Autodesk it's a heavy duty program. So if it takes a little bit of time, just be patient. Don't click on part multiple times because then it's going to open up multiple parts. And that takes more time. There was a student earlier today who clicked on it 7 times. Then Autodesk tried to open up 7 parts, and it just took a really long time. So just don't do that. If I just ask you to click once, just click once. All right. There's a few computers that are still loading. That's just what I'm waiting for. Jose, is you're still loading?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. So actually what we're going to try and do today is, so yesterday we did a rectangular prism. Today we're actually going to try and create a perfect cube. So there's a little bit more to doing that because you guys know with a cube, the length, width, and height all have to be the same. With a rectangular prism, that's not true, right? So what we're going to do, and I'll zoom in so you guys can see this again. So everyone click Start 2D Sketch. And then remember, don't click on any of these, okay? So yesterday, I talked about hovering. So there's these different planes, and we use these planes for different things that we create. And for right now, since, again, you guys are familiar with the XY plane, that's probably what we're going to use, but don't click on it. Just listen. So when I say hover, I'm moving my mouse over things, but I'm not clicking. So what I want you to write here is this. So hover, move the mouse, but do not click. Please remember that. Because if you go on there and I'm asking you just to hover over something and then you accidentally click on it, it's going to take you somewhere else. And then you're going to have a hard time getting back to where you need to go. Okay? So just remember that. Please write that down. Write it down so you remember. It's on these Okay, I hear fewer people typing, so I'll move forward. If you didn't quite get this, there's more stuff that we're going to type so you can see it in a bit. So go back to Autodesk. So we're going to use the XY coordinate plane, so click on the XY coordinate plane. Now let me explain this. If you don't remember this from math, I need to refresh your memory. Okay? Because I refer to this, I use this in here. So right now we have this. Okay, that's the Y, which is vertical, the X is horizontal. So this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, 3, and 4. It kind of goes in a counterclockwise motion, right? So if you didn't pay attention to that in math,
No.
you need to.
I don't pay attention.
Remember that. So all the coordinates here are positive, positive.
Positive.
This one
Positive,
is
negative.
thank you.
Negative, positive. Negative, positive, negative.
So when you're in these quadrants, just know that that's what's happening. So if I tell you to create a rectangle in quadrant 1, that's what I'm referring to. You have to know the difference because otherwise you're going to create it in different quadrants. And then when you see me typing in things, your negative and positives aren't going to match up with mine, and you're probably going to get confused. Okay, so just remember that. So we're actually going to create a square in quadrant 1, right? So the way that we do that is, and don't click on random things on your computer. I already noticed like a few of you do that. Click on rectangle. Right, I told you we were creating a square and I'm clicking on rectangle, but trust me, it'll make sense.
Where?
So if like you have to ask that question, where? What's in blue?
Rectangle.
So if you ever forget, just look at my screen and whatever's in blue, you'll know that that's what I clicked on. Okay. Now, if you notice, like, move your mouse around and you'll see the XY coordinates change. So right there, right, negative 0.357, positive 0.289. Does anyone like? There's something I think. It's hard for students to see initially, but I think if you understand decimals, you'll know like where we're at. Are we really zoomed into the XY coordinate plane or really zoomed out? We're super zoomed in. Okay? Because like if this is right, that's not even 1. So we're really like, this is positive 1 on the y, that's like negative 1 on the y, negative 1 on the x, and positive 1 on the x. Like, we're very zoomed into it right now. So just remember that as we're creating our square, because you're going to notice things kind of disappear. Because we're going to create a 2 by 2 by 2 cube. And if we're zoomed in at 1 and we tell it to do 2.0, you're going to see it kind of disappear off the screen. Don't freak out. Just let it do its thing. Okay? Manuel, did you have a question? It should be. This is quadrant 2. Well, then I messed up. Okay. So move your mouse to 0, 0 on the XY coordinate plane. Remember, it kind of snaps in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want you to click once. And then you're going to drag it almost kind of near the cube up here, but don't click again. Okay? You should be able to move this. Don't click again. Keep it so that it can move around. Because we're going to change our numbers here so that we can adjust the size of it. Okay? It does, right now it doesn't need to be exactly the same as mine. You probably can't even see those numbers. Right? The most important thing is that this is in blue, because that means you can change the value. So let's change it. The second you start typing on your numbers, it's going to change this right here. So what I want you to do is type 2.0. Type 2.0 in here.
Wait, what? How you go?
An actual O or 0?
How you go with? Did you double click?
2.0.
No, I just clicked. You clicked what? I think I did.
You're not supposed to click twice.
Well, I did. I just asked you double click.
Now here's
No.
this is what happens. Some of you mess up.
Yeah, I messed up.
Listen.
Shut up. Okay.
If we mess up, there's an undo button.
Oh.
Okay. We click undo, and then you got to click on rectangle again and kind of build it out again. Okay. But right now, like again, I haven't clicked again, so it's gonna let me. Hopefully you didn't click on your mouse because I didn't ask you to do that.
Bad kid.
So here, students get a little lost right here. So try to pay attention closely. Just watch and listen.
Oh my god.
So right now it's on here. That's the X. We want to change the Y to 2.0. So we click Tab on our keyboard. We click Tab. And then we type, hold on. So now the Y is in blue, but it kind of disappeared way off to the right. Because why? Because now this is 2.0. It extended that line out to 2 inches. Okay. Then we type 2.0 here. And if you type 2.0 there, hit enter on your keyboard. Hit 2.0 again. You hit enter. And then hit escape. I'll tell you why. 2.0. It's a square, so it should be 2.0 by 2.0. Yeah, 2.0. Does that say 2.0? Hit enter. Maybe. We'll see. All right. So don't start playing around with stuff. Don't create more rectangles. Don't create more things. I told you to hit escape after you hit enter. So that the reason I hit escape is because now the rectangle is no longer in blue, right? It's not going to create another rectangle. It's back to like my regular mouse. Click the home button. Wow. Click the home button. If you did this right, it should say 2.0 on this X line, and then 2.0 on that Y. Okay? If it doesn't, but you still have a rectangle or whatever you have there, let's just keep it there for now, because I can show you later if you don't get something right. There is a way to adjust it after the fact. Okay? So before we do this, we're going to go back to our notes. Okay? I want you to copy. So in about a minute or two, you're going to hear me say the word extrude. So we just created a two-dimensional sketch. We're going to make it 3D. And then the other thing I put in here is you need to remember, so when you hear me say the word click, I mean left click on your mouse, because we do that so often. I'm not going to say left click. I'm just going to say click, and you should know what that means. It's the left click on your mouse. If I need you to right click, which we do sometimes, I will say right click. The right click on your mouse typically is most students, it's their middle finger is on the right click. It's the right side of the mouse. I know that may sound obvious, but there are times when I say, please right click, and students keep left clicking, and then they raise their hand and tell me their computer's broken. Thank you for writing that. So extrude turns a 2D drawing into a 3D object. Right now we have a 2D drawing, right? Click, left click on the mouse. Right click on the mouse. I put it in quotes because I actually use those words. Okay, again, our objective, we're trying to create a cube. So the way that you create a cube, you have to start with a square. We need a 2x2 square. That's what most of us have. Some of us, I noticed, don't have squares. We have rectangles, but again, I'll show you how to adjust that if you ever do mess that up. Because some students think you have to start all the way over again, which is not true. So, all right, I hear fewer people typing, so I'm going to go back to Autodesk. What I want you to do is click the green check mark, the big one right there. It says Finish Sketch. Finish Sketch. Click Home again just to make sure it's in the right spot. And then I'm going to use this word, extrude. So we're going to extrude the object. So click Extrude once. Right click, not right click. Extrude. And then this time we're not going to move the gold arrow back and forth because that's not quite as accurate as actually typing in the value. So I'm going to zoom in. See where it says distance right here? Extrude.
Finish sketch.
Finish sketch.
Where's that at?
Right there, the green.
Guys, you don't need to get mad at people.
Okay.
Okay, just so we're just gonna try and get this there, and then there is a way to go back, and I'll show you. Probably not today, but I'll show you eventually, like how you can go back and fix it. Okay, we're just gonna see how many of you can get to that point. And then usually what I do is I like to look and see where students make mistakes. That way I'm actually teaching to those mistakes as opposed to like what I assume might be a mistake. So now this is a cube, okay? We made it 2x2x2. It's 2 on the X, 2 on the Y, and then 2 on the Z, which makes it a cube. So that's what cubes are. It has to be a 5x5x5, a 10x10x10, a 20x20x20, 2x2x2, a 1x1x1. It doesn't matter, but they all have to be the same length. Okay? If there's any length that's different, then it's a rectangular prism. Prism. Okay, so yesterday we learned this, so we're gonna put these into the notes, but I'm just gonna show you again really quick. So with the scroll, you can zoom in and out. Okay. If you hold the scroll button down, you can move the object around. If you hold down Shift and the scroll button, you can orbit. Okay. So those of you that are saying what, do this. Please write that in there. So zoom, you move the scroll button forward and backward to zoom. Move the object on the screen. You hold the scroll button down and move your mouse. And then to orbit, you hold down Shift and the scroll button and move the mouse. Then it allows you to orbit. Okay? So write that down so that you remember.
Jenny.
Yeah. So I say all of these things. You'll hear me say them a lot, so you need to understand what they mean. Hover means move the mouse, don't click. Extrude, taking a 2D sketch, making it three-dimensional. A click is a left click. When I say right click, that means hit right click. Zoom, scroll button forward and backward. Move object, you hold the scroll button down. And then orbit is holding Shift and the scroll button down at the same time.